respective committees. A look at the provisions of the Division of Revenue Bill, Bill number 9 of the year 2023. That is a motion being handled by or moved by the Senate Majority Leader at the Senate.
Order number 5, papers.
That's from Committee on Devolution.
Mr. Speaker, this is from the Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations.
Proceed and table.
Thank you, Mr.
Give
Speaker.
Notice. Give notice of motion. Or it's a paper.
It's a paper.
Yeah, okay, proceed.
I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, 19th April 2023. Report of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations on a statement sought by Senator Mwenda Gataya Mofaya, MP, on the relocation of national government administrative services from Chuka Town to Kathwana County Headquarters, Tharaka Nithi County. I hereby lay.
Okay, thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Next order.
Order number 7, statements and questions.
We have a couple of statements. We start this understanding order 52-1. Senator Aminda Kibwana. She has 2 statements under that standing order. So she's not allowed to defer to a later date. And then we proceed to Senator under 53-1, nominated is Senator Veronica Maina. Also stands deferred. Next is Senator Ngrodi Oroba. Yes, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations regarding the need to protect the identity of Kenyans visiting public buildings and business premises. In the statement, the committee should justify why many businesses do not protect the identity of members of the public when they require security guards to collect and retain original identification documents at the entrance of buildings they visit, rather than noting the names and ID numbers and returning the documents. 2, outline the measures being taken by the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government to prevent identity theft. And 3, state any plans by the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government to develop an integrated population registration system, IPRS, that can grant companies access to verify the authenticity of an ID number rather than insisting on use of the physical identity cards. Thank you.
Let us get at least 2 comments. We start with the majority leader.
Mr. Speaker, that's a very interesting proposition that Senator Gloria wants the House to consider. Curiously, I have never really thought about it in the direction that she's pointing us to. On many occasions, when you go to public buildings or even private enterprises, you give out your ID without bothering whether what somebody else will do. Of course, being street smart over times and now as a public figure, I rarely give the correct identity card number or even the phone number, because what will happen is that on most occasions, you'd leave your number at a security guard, then later in the evening, after they've left work, you'd find the usual calls that politicians get. Oh, I'm so-and-so, I work at such a place, you had come to visit, I need this or that favor. So it became quite untidy. But that's a favor that extended to maybe those of us that are public figures and that are known. But what about the people that we represent? Because that's primarily our duty and the reason why we are here. When we passed the data protection bill, Mr. Speaker, we left it we created the Office of the Data Commissioner to be able to look into this kind of things, to ensure that publicly availed data is not used for any purpose other than that for which it was intended. The reason why you give your identification details is for you to be identified. Of course, many of these came to the fore, Mr. Speaker, with the wake of Al-Shabaab and terrorism issues in the country. Unfortunately, this has now become subject to abuse, and you'll find that ordinary Kenyans are later running into trouble for 1, 2, or 3 other reasons, Mr. Speaker, and it's rather unfortunate. So I believe that once the committee, I don't know whether it will be ICT or whichever committee will consider, because this is an issue about data, and we created an office under the State Department, though independent, but administratively under the State Department of ICT, that they'd come and respond and perhaps issue additional regulations of how they intend to curtail this menace, Mr. Speaker, because it's something which, if not properly addressed, then can end up with the kind of situation that Senator Gloria is describing before the House this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, where private data is abused, yet when it was being given out, it was intended for public good, Mr. Speaker. So with very keen interest, Mr. Speaker, expecting to see what the data commissioner will be proposing to the House as a possible solution, so that ordinary citizens don't have to fear. There has to be better information, better ways of managing this information, Mr. Speaker. With those very remarks, I support and appreciate Senator Gloria for bringing this issue to the House.
Thank you, Majority Leader. The author of this statement is requesting the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Affairs to look into this matter. But the way you are now taking also is very relevant, because we have a data commissioner from, I think, last year. So let's have Senator Manzo, Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when we passed this law, there were clearly that regulations will lie after. And with the wake of terrorism, there has been requirement in many places you will drive to. First, they take your car number, then they take your, again also your full details, your telephone number, your full name, and that data is left with a security guard. We may not have captured that in the law we passed, and there may be a need to check that, because that information can be used by people who, even use Safaricom to deal with M-Pesa, or even to con other people pretending that they are you, to open fake Facebook accounts, to, a lot of things have been done and reports have been made to police, and those cases haven't gotten far. So I think even that time, we had new IDs had been produced, Mr. Speaker, with all the details and what was being called one-stop shop. With one card, all the details of an individual were there, and a question arose, and even there were court cases which first stopped the release of those new IDs. Ourselves, you know, this team came to Parliament and using iPads took all our information. And that card, I remember a chief called me from somewhere in Nairobi and told me, please come and pick your card. But the next time I went to pick the card, the chief was never available, and that all my total data is still lie with some people somewhere. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it's a high time for even security of an individual. And we come up with a way of, once all your details have been taken, then who is responsible? And how can we make sure that it is not misused in one way or another, and especially against your own personal security? Many of us, you will not go to places without being identified, without being known, because you're already a public figure and people know you. Some release you without picking your details, but some insist, we want all your details. And I'm sure at that particular moment, it's not for the best of reasons. So, Mr. Speaker, I think while we consider this, we may need multitasking. You may have the Committee of Interior and maybe the Committee of ICT working together so that whatever proposals come out, we can be able to address them sufficiently. Otherwise, I support the statement, and I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
This is really an interesting statement, and limited to two, but because of the law of supply and demand, let me give two more senators, one this end and the other one from my left. Let us hear this IT guru, Senator William Kipkemoi Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I know you know very well what happened in the last Parliament when we passed the Data Protection Act 2019, and we already have Office of Data Protection Commissioner in office. So I believe, as members have said, it is good that the two committees, the Committee on ICT and Interior or Security, they look at this matter seriously. Honorable Speaker, there are people who have actually, they have Fuliza, they have taken loan, people using their identification, because when you leave your ID at the security desk, you know, they can photocopy. While you are away for a meeting for an hour or 2 hours, photocopies are taken. They go and register either with the telecommunication providers, either Safaricom, Airtel, or Telcom, and then eventually you will see yourself that you have Fuliza, and you have not, you know very well you have not done it. So this is a very serious security lapse, and I agree with Senator Gloria that what they need to do is to automate the tests, the security tests in each building, so that they can check. You know, they can do an integration with the IPRS. They don't even need to do a complicated system. They can just use USSD. Those are very easy things to be done, Honorable Speaker, so that at least we save our people. Finally, Honorable Speaker, I believe the Office of Data Protection Commissioner is not well resourced. They don't have enough employees to check on these issues. So hopefully in the course of discussing budget, when we did the other day a budget policy statement, and when the budget itself comes in, we need National Assembly and Treasury and even ourselves to ensure that office is resourced so that they have enough officers to check on data processors and data controllers to ensure they follow the law properly and the regulations are passed. Sometimes regulations take forever at the Office of Attorney General instead of speeding them up so that our people can benefit on this particular data law, Honorable Speaker. I support, and it is good that Gloria has come up with this.
Lastly, Senator Sige Kegei.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for an opportunity to add to the statement sought by Senator Gloria. I support, Mr. Speaker. It's a very progressive statement and very relevant, to be honest. And I congratulate Senator Gloria for bringing this to the House. It also ties in nicely, Mr. Speaker, with previous statements that Gloria has also sought, to which she reminded us of yesterday in the first session of the House, Chair, asking Safaricom and the Communication Authority of Kenya to also divulge some more information regarding data protection in the country. Mr. Speaker, in addition to what has already been contributed by other senators on this statement, I also want to bring the scenario which I have been made aware of through the disabled community, whereby persons with disabilities data is also being abused in the same way as has been spoken. Mr. Speaker, when I go to different forums, people with disabilities give me the experience, lived experience of having their identification at these entrances, shopping malls, office buildings, and so on and so forth, being used to abuse and to register under their names for benefits and different types of reliefs that are accorded to persons with disabilities. Because as you know, Mr. Speaker, there are some special reliefs that are accorded to us as persons with disabilities because of our day-to-day challenges. Mr. Speaker, secondly, these identification cards are also and have also been used in relation to a car registration, because as you know, when you walk into or drive into a shopping mall, your car is identified, and then when you walk into the entrance, you leave your identification card. And so it's very easy for people who are wanting to abuse, wanting to usurp, wanting to otherwise cause havoc, to then correlate your ID number with your car registration number, Mr. Speaker, which, as Senator Gloria is seeking, can cause a lot of danger and personal security issues, and maybe even national security issues. Mr. Speaker, I also agree with the majority leader who said that sometimes you're forced to give 1 or 2 numbers that are different on your ID card or your phone number because of personal security. Mr. Speaker, this is something that should be added or probed further by the committees that you will commit this statement to, and I look forward to the receiving the responses by the statement, so that we can have supplementary questions and clarifications also made. I thank you.
Let us have the next statement by Senator Edwin Sifuna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise pursuant to Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing regarding the construction of Gong Road, a crucial road for residents of Nairobi and the neighboring counties. In the statement, the committee should clarify whether the contractor awarded the tender for the construction of Gong Road has completed construction works on the road as per the terms of the contract, including the restoration of damaged sections. 2, inform the Senate of the scope of works undertaken by the contractor, stating who is responsible for works on the unfinished sections of the road and measures put in place to ensure that the road, which has been under construction since 2017, is completed to the required standards. And finally, Mr. Speaker, spell out measures to be undertaken by the contractor to address concerns about the incomplete sections of Gong Road that lack clear markings, lanes that end abruptly, and have insufficient lighting, all of which pose safety hazards. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Before I give some comments, Senator Gloria, your statement is, as we speak, in the Committee on National Security. But if you want to do changes as advised by the majority leader, you can always approach the Liaison Committee to have that decision, to the 2 committees to look into that matter. Because I can see there's a lot of IT issues. So you are well advised. Senator Ososi, do you want to comment on this statement?
I had wanted to comment on the one on identity.
Okay.
But then we have
Senator Karungo, Dangwapo, Chair rules. What is out of order?
Thank you very much, Chair. I seek your indulgence and guidance. I'm the Chairman, Roads, Transportation and Housing. and I've just heard a member, the senator for Nairobi, requesting a statement about Gong Road. I seek your indulgence because he's a member of the said committee. Is it in order for a member of the same committee to request a statement to the committee that he belongs, yet those matters probably can be deliberated on during the agendas, AOBs? I seek your guidance.
Chair Loans, you know, the senator for Nairobi is none other than Senator Sifuna. And he represents the Nguni people of Nairobi County, including my children who use Gong Road. So he is very much in order to represent his people in this house. And now that you are saying his statement should come and I will be in your committee, you are out of order, Chair. So I think the statement is well praised. So consider it with the need it deserves. Senator Modigi Alexander.
Bwana Speaker,
You want to comment on this statement? Yes. Endelea.
Bwana Speaker, ni asante kwa sababu umejibu mwenyekiti wa parapara, kwa sababu hata wiki jana nisikia mwenyekiti wa agriculture wakati niuliza swali ya makandamia akisimama akitaka kupinga mimi kuuliza swali ya makandamia, na haikuwa mzuri kwa sababu tunajua kama uko mwenyekiti ama mdogo wa mwenyekiti, kuna mambo ya mwenyekiti na mambo ya county na mambo ya watu wote wa Kenya, ya mambo yote ya Kenya. Kwa hivyo mimi naunga mkono ule ameuliza swali, hata kama ni mwenyekiti, ndio tusiwe sisi tutakuwa tunafungiwa nje ati kwa sababu hatutaki kuuliza maswali. Kwa hivyo mpaka kila mtu yote awe na mambo ya kuuliza ndio tuweze kufanya kazi nzuri. Asante.
Hapo salama kabisa bwana Mheshimiwa Mundigi. Senator Chelagei, very brief comments kindly. Because we are really taking a lot of time on statements. Just 2 minutes maximum.
Mr. Speaker.
And I request to be timed now. 2 minutes only.
Mr. Speaker, I know we have a speaker in the House. And I don't know why Senator Onyonga is uncomfortable.
And then
Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chelagei, I was giving some communication and still you are talking. Why are you confusing my guidance to the House? You are protected. So kindly use your 2 minutes.
I want to support statement by Senator Edwin Watenya Sifuna, the Senator of Nairobi. I think that statement is timely, Mr. Speaker. I agree that Gong Road is not well marked, especially when you are driving through and whether renovations was done. Just the way I was asking about Mombasa Road, the lower deck. When it is raining now, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is very hard for motorists to navigate through because of poor drainage. And you remember when the expressway, Mr. Speaker, the Jubilee government governed by the handshake ensured that they inflated the expressway, and therefore the drainage, the design, the lighting is very poor, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, even when you look at the Langata Road interchange, it is not well marked, and you have to remember the lanes also were reduced. Not only in Nairobi City County, but across the county, Mr. Speaker. Where I come from, the contractor does the road, they don't do signages, they don't do drainage, they don't do proper markings on the road. So I don't know whether contractors disappear with it or it is complacency of agencies that do their job. But anywhere in the country, Mr. Speaker, and this is a bad manners that is creeping into the country. A contractor does a very good road, but they don't provide for the drainage. So we need to be told across the country. Mr. Speaker, as much as we blame the drivers, there is also poor markings and reflectors on the road, Mr. Speaker. So the necessary agencies must rise up to the occasion and ensure that any contractor that does job, Mr. Speaker, and it's very...
Your time is over, In the screen on my left-hand side, I can see Senator Okech and Senator Onyonka and Senator Buru. Of course, Senator Onyonka, you are to get the chance, but now Senator Buru Odinga has requested now that he should also speak. My senior.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the honor. Mr. Speaker, I also want to just briefly say that the contractors normally leave out drainages in making roads. And this is deliberate, Mr. Speaker, because contractors cannot work at a loss. Contractors are business people. But corruption within the government, that is the engineer, the PSS, the water, up to the top. Those are the people who eat the money for the drainages, for the ears of the road. You call them the ears of the road. You find a very beautiful road is built, but it does not have an ear, it does not have drainage, because that contractor is recovering the monies he has paid to the pockets of individuals. And that is why they don't complete and they don't do the good job that they should do. So if this government where Cherargei is a very prominent member, stops this corruption, which has been there from government to government. It is not the whatever you call handshake or what. This has been there for many, many, many years, including those years when your boss was number 2. Mr. Speaker, if they stop this, if they stop this, then our roads are going to be good. It is not the contractors, it is actually the government which eats the money from the contractors. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The statement is committed to the Standing Committee on Loans, Transportation and Housing. Next statement by Senator Veronica Maina. Before, just a minute, Senator Veronica. Honorable Senators, in the public gallery, we have 60 students accompanied by 2 teachers from Kericho Day Secondary School in Kericho County, who are in the Senate on an educational tour. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Thank you. Yes, Majority Leader, this is your school.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to welcome the visiting delegation from Kericho Day Secondary School, one of the most celebrated day schools in our county, Mr. Speaker, that boast of, it's among the most cosmopolitan actually, being in Kericho town, has students from all over the country, if you may want to put it that way, Mr. Speaker. They excel quite well in both academic and co-curricular activities. Mr. Speaker, I have very fond memories of many things that we did there, either games or other co-curricular activities in their science and debating labs during my days as a student in Kericho High School. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to encourage the boys and girls from this school who have taken time to visit the Senate this afternoon to enjoy their stay, learn, and get the full taste of their visit, interact with as many staffers, members of parliament, and be encouraged to know that many of the people they see here as members of parliament or as staff went through the stage of life where they were just a few years ago, and today they have the opportunity to serve this country. Theirs is coming faster than they can imagine, and in no short time, I believe that among us, those that are visiting, will be Kenyans who will serve this country, not only locally but internationally as well, Mr. Speaker, because the world is now their playground, as it were, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I do welcome them. I wish them well in the course of their stay here in Parliament. And of course, even as they make their way back to Kericho, let them enjoy also the trip back. I wish them comfort of course, safe journey. Mr. Speaker, we spoke very much this morning about the issue of road safety. We get worried nowadays, especially when students get to travel. But I want to believe that they'll enjoy God's protection as they travel back to Kericho. Pass our greetings back to the people, and of course see you over the weekend as usual. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Senator Onyonka.
Pengine nitatumia. Nashukuru sana. Mimi pia ningependa, kwa sababu ndugu yangu ambaye ni mheshimiwa anayesimamia wengi kwa hili jumba, kwa wale wanafunzi ambao wametoka Kericho High School, ni shukran sana, na nimeamua kuzungumza kwa lugha ya Kiswahili kwa sababu ningependa kuwauliza nyinyi kama wanafunzi muendelee kuisifu na kuitumia lugha yetu ya kitaifa. Sababu ya hiyo ni vile kuwa kwa hili jumba tukijadiliana na tukizungumzia masuala nyeti na masuala kuu kuhusu nchi yetu, tunatumia lugha mbili, lugha ya Kiingereza na lugha ya Kiswahili. Na haswa wale ambao ni viongozi wenu kama Mheshimiwa Cheruyot, Mheshimiwa Cherargei. Unajua zamani, ndugu Speaker, mtu ambaye ametoka kwa jamii ya Kikalenjin, hata rais mwenyewe alikuwa hazungumzi lugha ya Kiswahili vizuri, lakini siku hizi lugha ya Kiswahili inazungumzwa na viongozi katika jamii ya Kalenjin safi, na wanazungumza hiyo lugha kisanifu, na ni heshima kuwa wameendelea kutimiza kuwa lugha yetu ya kitaifa iendelee kusifiwa na kutumika. Vile mnavyojua, mimi kama seneta wa eneo wakilishi la Kisii County, ningependa kuwasifu, kuwapa wosia kuwa muendelee kuwa marafiki na wale vijana wetu ambao wanatoka Kisii, kwa sababu najua wanafunzi wengi wametoka kwa eneo la Kisii na wanasoma kule Kericho, na ningependa kusema kuwa Kericho ni eneo la kitaifa ambalo tunaliheshimu kwa sababu ya kukuza chai na maendeleo mengine, na ningependa kusema kuwa pia mkirudi nyumbani msafiri vema na mfike vema na msalimie wazazi wenu. Na tena ningependa kumalizia kusema kuwa nyinyi, taifa hili ni lenu. Hakikisha miaka 10-15 inakuja na nyinyi mje hapa muwe maseneta, wengine muwe wabunge, alafu wengine wale mainjinia na nini, muendelee kufanya kazi zingine. Asante sana ndugu Speaker kwa kunipa nafasi kuzungumzia hili jambo. Shukran.
Mwisho Senator Roba Magoma Gloria. Dakika 2.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to welcome the students from Kericho. I know the members of the House do not know that while we were doing the mapping of menstrual hygiene, we found out that actually in Kericho, they are very aware about menstruation, Mr. Speaker. So I want to congratulate them because I think our senator from Kericho has actually done a very good job by being able to talk to the students. And I want to say thank you for actually being ambassadors and for ensuring that we end the period shaming. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Senator Veronica Duarte, make your statement.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism regarding the status of implementation of the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya initiative to increase competitiveness and consumption of locally produced goods and services. In the statement, the committee should, 1, outline the policies that have been put in place by the ministry to promote the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya initiative, explain measures the ministry is taking to upscale the local furniture industry to encourage the purchase of their products whose quality and workmanship is sometimes far superior to some foreign furniture currently flooding the Kenyan market, elucidate the strategies put in place by the ministry to promote the leather industry in furtherance of the vibrant livestock industry instead of exporting wet blue leather, which is semi-processed, and in turn importing leather bags, shoes, and apparels which can be manufactured locally, Number 4, provide information on any plans to encourage and support value addition to agricultural products, noting that most of the products grown in Kenya, such as coffee, are sold in their raw form to multinational companies, thus denying Kenyan industry the benefit of selling value-added products. And 5, state what the ministry is doing to ensure that apart from companies in the textile industry which are currently able to sell their products locally, with the support from the ministry, other companies in the special economic zones that manufacture products for export are enabled to sell their products locally. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. Let's get really few comments, 2, 3 from one. The first one is Senator Muma Mweka Kadri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to that statement by Senator Veronica and to congratulate her for that statement. Mr. Speaker, the only way we will get this country to care for its youth is by getting into industry. And the questions or the statement Senator Veronica raises is a very important statement that gets us to introspect as a country. Are we doing the right thing in order to create that employment that we want to do? Are we doing the right thing in the agriculture sector, in the handicrafts, in the matters relating to dealing with cattle and the products that come from these animals? Mr. Speaker, it is so shocking that at a time when we are needy and the country requires food, you hear of the Minister for Agriculture planning to go and take business to farmers in Zambia instead of supporting farmers locally. It is so distressing when you hear that he has acquired some land in Zambia where he wants to plant, and yet we have a lot of land in this country that he could actually utilize. There are many farmers who he could partner with in order to get this country going. Mr. Speaker, the only way we will move to enable this country to grow economically is to have industry everywhere. Mr. Speaker, as a Senate, we need to encourage every county to set up industry within the counties. What she's talking about in terms of coffee, whether it is maize milling, whether it is bringing other products from our traditional foods, Mr. Speaker, we have not explored that because we are not investing in industry. And the Ministry of Trade will do us a big favor if it actually finds money to invest in this country in setting up, in partnering with county governments to set up export processing zones.
Just a minute, Senator Muma. What is your point of order? Senator Mandago?
Mr. Speaker, I rise on the standing order 101-4. Senator Muma alleges that the Cabinet Secretary of Agriculture has acquired land for growing maize in Zambia. Mr. Speaker, can she substantiate or provide evidence of acquisition of that land, or otherwise withdraws and apologizes to the Cabinet Secretary?
Let's get to the second point of order from the majority leader.
You know, Mr. Speaker, I had actually tried to get your attention, but then I realized that, oh, you thought I wanted to make a comment. Okay, no problem. It's in line with what Senator Mandago is saying. You know, as senators, we owe it to the House that every time we speak, we give a statement of fact. A statement of fact cannot be qualified by rumors, newspaper articles, and such like stories. It's not accurate, Mr. Speaker, and I think unless Senator, my very good friend, Senator Kathy, has information to the contrary, that one, government has acquired land in Zambia for which they intend to plant maize. Because, you know, acquiring especially for public use, there is a process through which government does such things. So I would wish to understand what exactly Senator Catherine Muma means by government acquiring land in Zambia. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I know for a fact that I have seen questions that senators have prepared for the various cabinet secretaries to come and address before this House during the cabinet secretary's time appearance. I know this is one of the questions that's listed because I get copies in my office, Mr. Speaker. Wouldn't it be in order, instead of reacting to rumors and Facebook posts and very sensational stories that are being posted without firm basis, to understand first if there is such a policy, what is the thinking that informs it, and whether it is, once you have the evidence of what has led to that thinking, whether it is for the benefit of our farmers or otherwise, Mr. Speaker. And I know that the Cabinet Secretary is slated to appear before this House either next Wednesday or the week after that, Mr. Speaker. Before we get there, shouldn't Senator Kathy be measured in her remarks as opposed to being sensational? I take great exception to what Senator Kathy is saying, just like my colleague Senator Mandago, that government has acquired land in Zambia. Unless maybe she has, if she has that information, we'd also be glad to know if that is true. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So, Senator Catherine, the 2 points of orders are touching on standing on the 105.
I'm aware, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, if you give me time, maybe I can bring the clip of the minister talking of preparing and he has actually identified land in Zambia where maize will be planted that will be enough to deal with the food security issue. I undertake to actually provide a clip
so
to
what
that
you are
effect.
saying is that you are needed to provide evidence.
Yes.
All facts.
Yes, Mr.
That
Speaker.
the government has leased or acquired land in is it Zambia? Or
Mr. Speaker, list is your
wherever
word.
it is.
List is your word. I have not mentioned, I have not talked about any leasing of land, but I will bring the clip that refers to the land where, in Zambia, where maize was going to be planted in order to...
Senator Catherine Muma, you
Yes.
know you are doing so well, eh? Before you touched on that drive wire, for which, so are you saying that you want to table evidence so that now you can go on record? You will table evidence that you have facts and evidence so that we can now proceed.
If you give me time, next
Yes,
time
I want to
come...
give you enough time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will do so.
What is again your point of order, Senator Cheptumo?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, this is a house of record. And whoever alleges must prove. I want to also, through you, Speaker, to inform my colleague, my learned colleague also, that he should acquaint ourselves with the nature of evidence to produce. A clip alone is not enough by the minister. So as you give that leeway for her to produce, it is important for her to ensure that she brings to this house what is admissible in the house to prove the allegations.
You have another point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I didn't want Senator Kathy, a very good friend of mine, to conflate issues. Nobody is disputing that the CS for Agriculture made the comments that she's referring to. But if you listen to Senator Mandago and myself clearly, we take great exception to a specific part of your speech, which is what we are challenging you on, where you stated that government has acquired land in Zambia. That's a part of your speech that we are challenging you on. If she can produce that evidence, Mr. Speaker, and satisfy us as a House, then we will be more than comfortable to sit back. Not to be general in her response and say, oh, I saw a clip somewhere. But also, Senator Cheptumo, a ranking member, has helped Senator Kathy appreciate what passes as material evidence that can be brought before a House of Parliament. It's not just a clip that you pick out of WhatsApp and all these other places.
Kajwang, the majority leader is also on a point of order. So you cannot stand again on a point of order, So maybe you allow Senator Catherine to proceed and then you can raise your matter. No, let her first start the... Yeah.
Mr. Speaker,
moving, then you can
Mr. Speaker, you had guided. Now, to the extent that the majority
Actually,
leader...
I was to guide you that the next sitting, standing on the 1052, I can give you the next sitting to provide that evidence. Yes, Senator Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, my point of order really was whether it was appropriate for Senator Cheptumo, who is a very distinguished member of parliament, to attempt to put Senator Muma in a box on what she can bring and what she cannot bring. Because she cannot anticipate what Senator Muma is going to bring. She might as well bring the title deed for the land in Zambia, owned by the government of Kenya. So it is not in his place to direct Senator Muma on how to respond. But Mr. Speaker, the bigger issue is that when you're a member of parliament, you enjoy certain privileges that not many other Kenyans enjoy. In this house, the freedom of speech and expression is guaranteed. And Mr. Speaker, in as much as we want to talk about the accuracy of facts, this house is quasi-judicial. You cannot apply the Evidence Act in its entirety when it comes to this house, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, even judicial institutions take judicial notice. And Mr. Speaker, we can never be in a situation where we are saying this house can never take judicial notice of what is going on in the country. And that when someone brings the attention of the chair to things going on in the country, you are told to produce tangible and hard evidence. Mr. Speaker, I just want to encourage that let us not be too pedantic about the application of Standing Order number 105, because people will fear speaking here, because even if I rose up and said my name is Otieno, someone will tell me to prove and to provide my birth certificate. That kills and stifles debate. I want to urge the House across the aisle that let us not use 105 to stop people from processing their mind flow. And let us not be pedantic about it. Let us allow senators to exercise the freedom of expression, and let us also refrain from trying to defend the executive at all times, Mr. Speaker. We are all members of the Senate, and as we said yesterday, none of us here is a minister, is a president, is a prime minister. We are all senators. So if we want the government and the national executive to explain something, let us call them here and let them be the ones to explain it.
Your point of order is taken. You know, one thing you must be alive to is that the chair here, the speaker, has no eyes, has no ears, and did not stop the honorable member from continuing with the submission until I was alerted by the majority leader and Senator Mandago. Otherwise, this couldn't go. So I consulted my standing order, which is the Holy Bible that I use when I'm here. And really, if it's a statement of fact, it contravenes standing on 105. And the honorable member, Catherine, is not complaining that she cannot produce that evidence. So also, why are you now not giving her time to bring the evidence that she has? Why are you also interfering with the independence of mind? Continue and finish.
Mr. Speaker, I hope my time has been saved. And Mr. Speaker, you guided properly, and I undertake to bring that clip to the extent that I sounded like I know where that land is in Zambia. I want to confirm that I have not seen the land. I am speaking from the expression of the cabinet minister. In my learning of what government is that a cabinet secretary speaks for government, not for themselves. So to the extent that you are a minister, you will be speaking, or when you speak about an issue you are doing in your docket, you are speaking for government. But as guided, I will submit as provided. Back to the beautiful statement by Senator Veronica. The point I was making, Mr. Speaker, I think it is time we encouraged building of industries in every county, since we are the Senate, in order to get more of our youth better employed. It would be good for the Ministry of Trade to negotiate trade deals, not just for a few cartels, but for the entire country, so that we can get even Mama Mboga to be able to export her vegetables to neighboring countries, to get the true hustlers that they purport to represent to also be able to participate in the export markets with our produce, which are of extremely high quality. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Tabitha Mutinda. Know that we are giving only 2 minutes to make a comment on the statement. This is no time for debate.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this particular opportunity. I rise to support Senator Veronica on her statement that build Kenya, buy Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I rise because as a local manufacturer, I really advocate and support for local manufacturing. Local manufacturing, because this is an industry that if we focus on ensuring that we support our local products that our local manufacturers are actually producing, then we increase revenue in this country. This platform, Mr. Speaker, gives opportunities to our youth as far as employment is concerned. We have a lot, especially in the agricultural sector, Mr. Speaker, that if we put in place, we are going to actually harvest much more revenue from the products that can be locally manufactured from all our local products that we have. Case example also, Mr. Speaker, with the skin of the animals, we can be able to produce leather products from the products of the animals that we have in this country. Mr. Speaker, locally, our youths, apart from them getting employment, we are going to have an opportunity to encourage them to be more innovative. Look at the education system that we have today at CBC. It is vast in such that it is actually identifying students' talent at a very early time. And with this encouragement, our local young children are going to stop actually focusing on getting education and getting to be employed, but focusing to be the next CEOs of this country, the next managing directors of this country, because we have encouraged them to be able to start their own companies in this country by ensuring that they are able to have a market share by us being the local market share, being the clientele to this particular product.
Senator Heidi. Senator Heidi, you seem not to be prepared to make any comment on this. Yeah. Are you prepared? Yes. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know why you always doubt me. And you just say you don't have ears and you don't have eyes.
I saw as if you are not like...
No, I'm always prepared. I was born ready. Okay. That's Eddie. Mr. Speaker, I think that this is one of the most crucial statements that is very important for our country. And I think that it is crucial because it fundamentally contributes to the recovery of the manufacturing industry in our country. And I would beseech the relevant committee to be able to actually also advance the conversations around policies on taxes. Because, Mr. Speaker, if you observe what happens in our last audited finances, which is 2019-2020, Mr. Speaker, the manufacturing industry contributed the least in our GDP, I think at about 7.2%. Yet, in terms of taxation, it was the most taxation in this country, and policies that are pertaining to taxation in manufacturing is the one that actually makes it impossible for any kind of local manufacturers to, one, invest properly in the industry and cultivate an environment for which labor can be involved. But most importantly, just as Senator Veronica has indicated, it is critical that high taxation also contributes highly to the products of local manufacturers being competitive in the market. So this is something that is fundamentally a problem, and I know that it is related to the national government idea of raising capital, but I think that the national government should be advised even by the committee that high taxation in the name of trying to prove to different countries that we're taking money from, that we can be able to pay our debts, is not conducive for actually making manufacturing recovery in the country. So, Mr. Speaker, I will be very keen if this particular committee emphasizes on the policies with regards to taxation. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Last but not the least, Senator Chelgei, on this statement.
Mr. Speaker, Buy Kenya, Build Kenya is a good statement that tries to promote the country. But over the years, we have done little, Mr. Speaker. I can just give an example, quick reaction, and congratulate Senator, our former Secretary General of UDA, Senator Veronica Maina. Mr. Speaker, there are many money that is being into brand Kenya, but we are yet to see the revenue turnover. Mr. Speaker, I can give an example, and I hope when the committee appears through Senator Veronica Maina's statement, we can even use our athletes. Eliud Kipchoge, Evans Chebet, and Ellen Obiri were trailblazing in Chicago. Billions of Kenyans were watching that race. Billions of the people of the world were watching. Mr. Speaker, you remember Eliud Kipchoge when he ran under 2 hours. More than 5 to 7 billion people in the world were watching. Did Eliud Kipchoge wear any T-shirt that shows or showcases Kenya across the globe? Have you seen President Paul Kagame partnering with Arsenal to ensure that visit Rwanda when they play I don't know how the Arsenal are doing at the moment. It looks they're not. But what I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, it says visit Rwanda, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, we need to use what we have. Let us use our athletes. Let us use our products like tea, so that when we walk anywhere in the world, Mr. Speaker, you can be able to buy and visit Kenya. But that one should not negate foreign direct investment into the country. We must also welcome investors so that they can work hand in hand and turn around our economy. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Senators. Honorable Senators, in the public gallery, we have 63 pupils accompanied by 4 teachers and 1 board of management member from Okuo Primary School in Moya West Sub-County in Kirinyaga County, who are in the Senate on an education tour. Honorable Senators, in our ancient tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Thank you. Senator Kirinyaga County, Senator Hembu County, you are neighbor to Kirinyaga at River Rupingazi.
Yes. Bwana Spika, nakaribisha watoto na walimu wa kutoka Kirinyaga County. Kirinyaga County ni pamoja na Embu County. Karibuni sana muone vile Senate tunafanya, kwa sababu hata sisi tulikuwa watoto kama nyinyi. Kwa hiyo mjifunze, wengine watakuwa maseneta, wengine watakuwa rais. Kwa hiyo msome vizuri ndio muweze kupita. Ya pili, pia ni aibu kubwa sana kama siku ya leo mmekuja tukiongea mambo ya ambaye Kenya kwa Kenya, mambo ya kilimo, na pia unajua kama Kirinyaga na Embu County hakukuwa na mvua ya kutosha na tulikuwa nataka chakula, na mpaka saa hii hatuko pahali mzuri. Kwa hivyo ni kuomba mkirundi Embu na Kirinyaga na kila kona zote muweze kupanda miti, na pia tunaomba hata department zile zingine tuwe tukisaidiwa maji ya kilimo. Nikimalizia na support hiyo mjadala ya senator, na pia ni tuone vile tunaweza kupata chakula nyingi. Senator Muma, ingekuwa ni mambo ya kurusha mawe, naona ungerusha. Kwa hiyo nyinyi tumesoea nyinyi, lakini mambo ya chakula mpaka tukumbaliane, na Mungu amefanya miujiza, mvua ikanyesha. Kwa hiyo sisi Kenya tuko tayari kupanda na kufanya kazi yote. Kwa hivyo naunga mkono hiyo mjadala. Asante. Mungekuwa ni mawe mungerusha. Asante.
Next statement from Senator Mbugua. George Bugwa.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education on reports of transfer of the only special needs teacher at Gano Special School in Oljoro constituency in Nyandarua County, which admits students with special needs from most of the Nyandarua County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, provide the current enrollment, pupil to teacher ratio, and social workers at the school, stating the number of pupils who require specialized support from special needs teachers and social workers. 2, shed light on reports of transfer of the only special needs teacher at the school, stating whether the transfer of the teacher was part of a broader restructuring plan for schools in Nyandarua County or an isolated incident, giving the current status on the search for a replacement. 3, ascertain reports of discontinued learning for pupils with special needs at the school following the transfer of the special needs teacher, stating plans to ensure that pupils at the school continue to receive support they need, including posting of social workers at the school. And finally, Mr. Speaker, state the amount of public funds released as capitation to the school in the last 12 months, stating any plans to complete ongoing infrastructural efforts, including the construction of a boarding block, fencing of the school, and leveling of the school compound. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Let's get a brief comment from Senator Joe Nyutu, Chair Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And although I'm Chair Education, I want to support the statement request by Senator George Mbugua. Mr. Speaker, special needs education or learners with special needs is actually a bill that we are considering at the committee level. And it is a very sad report to hear that the only teacher dealing with special needs learners has been transferred, Mr. Speaker. Ideally, what should happen in every learning institution is that before a teacher is transferred, a suitable replacement should have been availed before the only teacher was actually transferred from that school. And so, Mr. Speaker, I support, but I may not want to prosecute it further, being Chair for Education, the committee to which you may refer this statement. But it is true that we need to be very focused on serving learners with special needs. Even buildings should be friendly to them, and all public places, Mr. Speaker, should actually be very friendly to people with special needs and not only learners. So I support, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator William Cheptumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also arise to support the statement. And Mr. Speaker, the special needs institutions, I don't think they receive equal attention like the other institutions of learning. And Mr. Speaker, I think it is an error, and I'm happy that the Chair Education has confirmed that there is a law that they intend to pass to help in this process. Mr. Speaker, if you look at Article 27 of the Constitution, which talks about equality from discrimination. Every person is equal before the law and has the right to equal protection. Mr. Speaker, we need, as a house and as a country and as a government, to protect and ensure even the students in the special needs schools receive equal treatment the way we do allocation of resources, Mr. Speaker, to the other institutions. Mr. Speaker, there is need even to take stock, because even us as leaders today, and I want to encourage even members of this House, that as we visit those schools, the primary, the secondary, it is important we also give attention to these institutions in our counties, because, Mr. Speaker, they are a very critical aspect of our society. So Article 4 of the same Article 27, Mr. Speaker, speaks to that issue of, again, not to discriminate anybody because of the disabilities they have. Mr. Speaker, when you talk of a situation like in where Honorable Mboko is talking about, where you transfer teachers in those schools and with no replacement, Mr. Speaker, you even continue to expose those students to the discrimination they always face. And so,
Senator Matinga, Wahome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I also rise to support the statement by Senator Bogwa. It is indeed one of the requirements of the SDGs that we mainstream all the vulnerables into the society. Mr. Speaker, sir, the case is not only isolated in one school in Olojorok, where the county I come from, Nyeri County. The special needs school has been faced with numerous challenges, one of them being the staffing, to equipping, and to infrastructure development. It is indeed very, very important as the Committee for Education led by, shared by Senator Fumuranga, as they are providing this information, maybe they should even go a step further and request also from the ministry to be given information out of the 30,000 teachers who are recruited, how many of them were meant for schools that handles vulnerable learners. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is also very, very important to have the vulnerable not isolated but mainstreamed into the society, because in their lives when they've grown up, they'll need to know how to get around and to live with other people who are enabled differently. We therefore think that it is very important. The statement is very, very important, and I therefore think that the Committee on Education should do it justice and arise to the occasion, and indeed put the Ministry of Education to answer the question, how comes 60 years after independence we are still facing the challenge of mainstreaming people who are vulnerable? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I support.
The next statement by Senator Mohamed Chute. I can see you have two statements.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I have two statements. One, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs, and Human Rights on the status of compensation and resettlement of residents of Buxton Estate, Mombasa County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the acreage of land earmarked for modernization at the Buxton Estate in Mombasa County, outlining the current valuation of the land. 2, examine the bidding procedure for modernization of Buxton Estate carried out in 2016 and 2020, stating the tendering process, the number and cost of bids tendered with the details of who won and the amount of the award. Number 3, state the number and type of units expected to be constructed, their completion date, the estimate value at the date of completion, stating the criteria that will be used to share the units between the county government, residents, and the developer. My second statement reads, Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industrialization.
Senator Mohamed, what is your point of order, Senator Karungo?
Mr. Speaker, I think when it comes to standing orders, we are taking time to, and maybe the Senator can have a seat as I. Mr. Speaker, I seek your indulgence because I'm the chairman, again, Roads, Transportation and Committee. The state senator who is giving the statement is a member of the Roads, Housing and Committee, Transportation Committee. The matter he's alluding to raise the statement on is a matter that is live in the committee of which he's a member, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when I was giving my report today, I said as the chair, I gave the Buxton, the developers of Buxton and the county government of Mombasa 21 days to respond, of which the 21 days lapsed 5 days ago, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are yet to receive any information. So I feel that statement is in bad taste, Mr. Speaker, or else those who prepared that, they do not understand the mandate of the Committee of Roads, Housing and Transportation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, a matter that is live on another committee cannot and should not be directed to any other committee, Mr. Speaker. That's why I seek your indulgence, because no matter how long it takes, I'll be standing on a point of orders, Mr. Speaker, so that each and every committee is respected and the members are respected in the committees. Mr. Speaker, JLAC, Mr. Speaker, the matter of housing is directed to JLAC, Mr. Speaker. So I seek your indulgence and I seek your guidance because the committee is working on the issue. Once the committee concludes, and the member is a member of the committee, Mr. Speaker, can raise the same issues on the committee. If we do not want to take the processes of this House, Mr. Speaker, we are not protecting anyone, and no one is protecting anybody. All we are looking for is for the procedures of this House to be followed to finality. Full stop, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Chair Rounds, that issue was well canvassed when this petition was approved, and it is his statement is touching on acquisition, not compensation. So it is there is a clear line. You are the chair of the committee. Once all these issues land on your desk, make decisions as the committee. So don't feel offended so far because his wording is different, and I can see comments from the approving authority concerning that statement. Nothing is out of order because now no member is on the floor, Senator Roba, Gloria, Senator Chalgei. Point of order on who is contributing, who is on the floor, so that you raise a point of order. No. Senator Mohamed Chute, proceed and conclude your statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll proceed with my second statement. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industrialization on the status of management of museums and heritage sites in Kenya. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the number of museums and curators under management and employment by the counties, disclosing the amount of revenue generated in the last 12 months from the facilities, noting that the management of museums is a devolved function. 2, disclose the particulars of ownership of the National Museums of Kenya, including share ownership, if any, stating its management structure. 3, outline the strategies counties have put in place to ensure that the museums under their management generate revenue to make them financially sustainable. Number 4, state steps to repatriate artifacts of notable value, such as Ahmed the elephant from Marsabit, and those that are from Kubifora, among other artifacts, from the National Museums of Kenya to the county of origin, stating when the artifacts were moved from the communities and amount of revenue generated since their relocation. And finally, state the amount of compensation and or repatriation of benefits due to the host communities from which these artifacts were removed, outlining plans, if any, including legislative interventions to expand and improve the status of museums in counties to bring them to a state of preservation, their sacred objects. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Mohammed. Actually, your first statement, which the chair loans was alluding to, I'm trying to get this statement and your prayers and what you want executed. You have sent this requesting the Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs to look into this matter. But when you look at the contents are clearly in housing. Why did you take it to justice?
Mr. Speaker, what I am trying to bring to attention of the House is the procedure of acquiring that land through a tender system. Initially, the procedure was for low-cost housing, but later on, it has been turned into other business. So what I am trying to look at is the procedure, how this land was acquired. And we wanted to know how it was acquired. It was not the issue of housing. Housing issue is before the Housing Committee, which I'm also a member. But the issue I'm creating here, asking is, how did they get this land? This land today, Mr. Speaker, the cost of this land is about 3 billion today. But the way it was given, it was fraudulent, according to me. And that is why I am asking it should be investigated. Thank you.
Okay, Senator Mwenda Gataya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense, and Foreign Relations regarding the recent deaths of individuals in the Chuka town and along the border between Tharaka and Egembe South. In the statement, the committee should explain the action taken to address security concerns within the border area of Doron location in Tharaka North, Tharaka County, and Egeka location in Meru County, including any steps taken to address incitement from politicians in the region, which resulted in 2 people, namely Evans Mutembei and Getonga Njoki, losing their lives recently. Number 2, Honorable Speaker, the same committee should outline the timeline for providing compensation to the families affected by the incitements of insecurity along the said border. Number 3, Honorable Speaker, the committee should provide an update on the progress of investigations into the murder of Willis Mugambi, also known as Kiraku, who was fatally shot by policemen during demonstrations that took place in Chuka town on 9th March 2023. And at the same time, the committee should determine reasons for the death of Mutembei and the sequence of events that led to his murder, ultimately resulting in the protests that occurred on 9th of March 2023 in Chuka Town. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Those three statements stands committed to their respective committees. I can see some requests here. I don't know whether they want to make comments or the reason for their requests. Senator Boni Karwale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to seek further clarification on the statement about Buxton by Senator Chute. Mr. Speaker, this is a scandal in the making. In fact, Mr. Speaker, it's a clever confidence game meant to swindle the people of Mombasa County of 10 prime acres of land. Mr. Speaker, the land in Buxton goes for 300 million per acre. And since there are 10 acres that are being developed, that is 300 billion shillings. Sorry, 3 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just so that I'm clearly understood why I know this is an attempt to swindle us. Mr. Speaker, against that 3 billion shillings of prime land, the strategy is to build 2,000 houses, and then the county government of Mombasa will be given 10%, which is 200 houses. Each house is 3.2 million. So, Mr. Speaker, the county government of Mombasa will then make, after selling those houses, will make around 600 million shillings after losing property worth 3 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. And they have lost ownership forever. Mr. Speaker, this scandal must be stopped by this parliament. You have been around the world, Mr. Speaker. You've gone to this kind of project on the island of Hong Kong. A similar island in Hong Kong, they have put up houses, but those are skyscrapers. Instead, when you go to Buxton, what they are putting up, they are similar houses like what was being pulled down. Where is the logic? We should just stop it. We should just go there as the entire Senate and start singing church and war songs and circumcision songs and chase out these people so that they can know we are protecting the county of Mombasa. Mr. Speaker, can they come and table evidence to contradict what I am saying if it must be go on? Mr. Speaker.
Senator Abbas Sheikh Mohammed.
Honorable Speaker, I also support the statement from Mheshimiwa Chute. Mr. Speaker, the idea of giving low-cost housing is a very noble idea, but the purpose of the idea is to help the low-income Kenyans so that they can live in decent houses. However, the whole thing has changed now. This thing now is being taken to rich people who are buying the houses at a higher cost, and the cost has really changed. One of the things is the counties are losing a lot of money. I mean, on land, prime lands actually, which is actually not valued. And the best thing would have been this land should have been valued first, and then the county should have been paid their money, and then the ownership of this land should have changed. But now what happens is they're only giving 10% of the houses that have been constructed. As you are hearing, it's only 600 million shillings out of 3 billion shillings. So that means that the county now is losing a lot of money, and they have also lost their land. Those people who used to live there for 10 years are not compensated and are not given any other houses. And what we are now doing is actually what being told that they're building low-cost houses to take care of the local income people, the poor and the rest who are not able to afford decent houses. But things are now changing. 3.5, 5.5, these houses are now changing the cost, and the pricing is changing. So if the same people will still be living poor, and they will still live in decent houses, so the whole purpose actually is not there. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to support.
No. I'm trying to give members who have not spoken today. But I'm not looking at your faces, I'm looking at the screen. Okay, Senator Tabitha Mutinda. Did you contribute again? Did you?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the statement by Senator Gataya of the Rakanidi in regards to the issue of the young man who was actually shot down by police during the demonstrations in Chuka. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support and urge the Committee of Security to be able to urgently to be able to give a report on that particular matter that happened in Chuka during the demonstrations of Maandamano at that particular time. And as we have stated earlier and before, at this point we've encouraged bipartisan talks to be tabled on this floor, unlike the kind of demonstrations that took place that have ended up making us lose lives for our wonderful Kenyans who are working so hard to be able to bring a living on table. And yet what happens at the end of the day, because of these particular demonstrations, then they end up losing their lives, Mr. Speaker. So it is at this particular time that I really support Honorable Gataya, Senator of the Rakanidi, because he's here supporting also his people, and as Kenyans we back him up, and we want this matter tabled very urgently. The county commissioner, Tharaka-Nithi, should be able to very fast give this committee the report of the young man who is soul arrested because of the demonstrations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Karungo Dangwa.
Mr. Speaker, I was warned when that petition came to the House, to the committee, that Buxton issue is a hot potato. Mr. Speaker, the Committee of Housing, Roads and Housing, we have to make sure that the people of Buxton get what is theirs. The county government of Mombasa, the developer of Buxton Estate, must give the people of Buxton, the former residents, Mr. Speaker, what is theirs. I stand here as we are progressing on that issue. I'm a bit worried why the same issue is being requested in another committee, Mr. Speaker. We are on progress to give the people of Mombasa what is theirs. Mr. Speaker, I request you, so that we do not have games that are played within this House, Mr. Speaker, that matter continues and you can give us a joint sitting together with the JLAC, Mr. Speaker, because we have to follow and make sure that the people, the former Buxton residents, get what is their own, Mr. Speaker. Why is the matter being taken to another committee when we were just about to conclude, Mr. Speaker? That is my issue. That is my issue, Mr. Speaker. What has been taken, what has been seen, who has taken what, Mr. Speaker? Mine is to ask those two committees, we sit down together so that we can listen to that issue and conclude this matter, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, after JLAC has taken the matter, another committee on land will come again, Mr. Speaker, and they say they're talking about land. Then after land, a matter of tourism, Mr. Speaker, they will say Mombasa is a tourist county. Let the matter go to the tourist committee, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let this matter be handled, if not by both committees.
No, you know, majority rinda Cheruiyot? No. Wanaongea na wale. Okay. I gave the mic to Majority Leader a long time ago. What happened? I gave you the mic, the floor.
Oh, sorry. You know, Mr. Speaker, Senator Kajwang should allow me to prosecute the point first, and I'm sure you'll give him, because it's not very usual for him to be around at this hour. So I was wondering. I was wondering what is coming up, Mr. Speaker. I don't know whether it is this Buxton issue. You know, Mr. Speaker, having been in this house long enough, I know that when you see a matter making rounds from one committee to the other, transcending one parliament to the other, because it's not the first time that Buxton is before this House of Parliament, then there is a chance that there is more than meets the eye. Mr. Speaker, I don't know what has informed the decision, but I am concerned by the comments by the chair of Transport Committee. Mr. Speaker, we should trust our committees. If a competent committee of this House is handling a particular matter, I feel that it is only respectful to the membership of that committee and to us as a House that we allow them the requisite time to conclude on a particular matter before moving it to another committee, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I stand to support the chairperson of Committee on Transport, Land and Housing, Mr. Speaker, that if indeed they were already handling this matter, then they should be allowed to conclude on the matter. Once they have brought the report, should the House hold the view that either a particular matter hasn't been fully addressed or there is reason to believe that the committee did not carry out its responsibility properly, then the House can be moved to think otherwise. But I find it wrong that any committee of this House, when handling a particular matter, midway, that matter is taken and given. It doesn't matter if a member coins a question in a different saying, oh, you know, if we start encouraging that kind of movement, and I have no ill will against any member bringing the matter before the House, but I feel maybe what Senator Chute brought is proper before the House, Mr. Speaker. But then, that particular matter should just have been added as additional matters for the committee to find out, Mr. Speaker. So I don't know what informed the decision to take it to a separate committee, Mr. Speaker. But I hold the view that whatever supplementary question are brought, so long as it relates or even has the slightest of similarity to a matter that is before any committee of the House, and it doesn't matter which committee, we should trust our committees of the House, Mr. Speaker. That's my point.
Senator Betty Montet.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise not to talk on the hot potato, but to support the statement sought by Senator Mofire. Mr. Speaker, sir, the issue of demonstrations in this country has always been handled very badly. The issue of demonstrations are not illegal in this country. We've seen deaths resulting to these demonstrations, while wananchi are always there trying to just pass a message to the government or to the relevant authorities if they are not taken care of well. And by doing so, we end up losing very, very humble souls, people who are just coming out of the streets to demonstrate and give their message. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, as the police give this report, I would also urge them to carefully handle demonstrations in this country, because I think demonstrations are here to stay. We are going to demonstrate so long as the government does not give us what is due to wananchi, and therefore can the demonstrations be handled with care so that we stop losing lives in demonstrations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
This issue has elicited a lot of interest because I want to close this, the statements hour. Let's get from the Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kajwang, visit, you are standing on the number 98.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
When no member is on the floor, there is nothing completely. You cannot raise under what now? How will you raise a point of order? Maybe when he is contributing, you can be able to do that.
So my speaker, Mr. Speaker, my time starts counting now.
Yes, Senator Kajwang.
You stop my time then.
And you should not contribute. Which is standing order?
Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 55.3E. Standing Order 55.3E requires that a request for a statement, should not repeat in substance any matter covered in a prior request for statement or already responded to and blah, 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 Mr. Speaker. And in raising this point of order, I want to buttress the point that has been put forth by the chair of the Roads Committee. And Mr. Speaker, I'm a member of the Roads Committee. The Roads Committee is seized with a petition on the same subject. Mr. Speaker, the distinguished Senator Chute was in the same delegation that I was in, where we met the governor of Mombasa and the members of public and the developers in Buxton. And he was sitting to my immediate left, Mr. Speaker. If a matter is currently before another committee, a similar matter, Mr. Speaker, that Standing Order 55, and if you look at even Standing Order 100, Mr. Speaker, that matters before a select committee should not be referred to. The only area where I disagree with all the speakers who have spoken is the part where they are insinuating that the speaker has already made directions on which committee the matter should go to. The procedure in this House is that once the statement has been read by a member, it is the speaker to give directions on the committee to which the statement should be sent. And so for those who are imputing that the speaker has already decided that this matter is going to the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, I think they are anticipating the decision and ruling of the speaker. Mr. Speaker, we want to call on you, having listened to the sentiments of members, having listened to the reservations of the chair of the Roads Committee and contributions of other members of the same committee, that you shall exercise your power under the standing orders and direct this particular statement to be addressed by the committee that is currently seized of the matter. And Mr. Speaker, I want to urge members of this committee to take very seriously what has been said by the distinguished senator for Kakamega, who has given certain prescriptions on how the interests of the public and the citizens and residents of Mombasa should be safeguarded. I believe, and I still do believe, Mr. Speaker, that the Roads Committee, with the competent membership of Senator Chute, the competent membership of Senator Peris Tobiko, with the competent membership of Senator Wambua, and the competent membership of Senator Edwin Sifuna, and the competent membership of Senator Lelegwe. Mr. Speaker, I believe that this committee should be able to provide responses to the questions raised by Senator Chute, and it is in your power, it is in your hands at this point to direct that this statement be sent to the relevant committee, which is the Roads Committee.
Thank you, Honorable Senators. Spend your minutes. 2 minutes, kindly, 2 minutes. Let's conclude the statement now.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, I walked in when my chairman was really agitated. I was wondering what the problem was, but now I understand what the issue was. Mr. Speaker, just to add on what Senator Cheriot, the majority leader, said and what Senator Kajwang has said, Mr. Speaker, the matter of Buxton is properly before the Roads Committee. The issues raised, and I know he raised those issues when we met in Mombasa, could just be supplementary questions on the statement, issue statement. I'm very sure the committee will be able to deal with that. But Mr. Speaker, on the matter of the security issue raised by Senator Mofire from Tharaka Nithi. So, Speaker, one of the things that we have to do as a country is to respect the sanctity of life. So, Speaker, you know, when we speak here and talk about so and so has been shot dead, so and so has been shot dead, for us it could just be numbers and people. But, Mr. Speaker, it's lives that we are losing. Irrespective of the reasons why people are demonstrating, irrespective of the reasons why people are found on the wrong side of the law, there is no law that authorizes police officers to shoot, to kill people. As a Speaker, if we continue this trend, then I don't know where we are going to stop. My prayer as a Speaker is that once the committee is seized of this matter, of this statement, let the Senate be that house of reason that makes it very, very costly for police officers to go about shooting and killing people in the pretext of stopping demonstrations. As Senator Montero said, Mr. Speaker, we have announced that in coming weeks, maybe we could have more protests. It could happen. We don't want, Mr. Speaker, a situation where police now take it for granted that you can just go and kill people because they are protesting. The Speaker, let's respect the sanctity of life, and I thank the Senator for Tharaka Nithi for bringing this statement. I thank Mr. Speaker.
Sorry. Honorable Senators, clearly looking at this statement, I'm really and also listening to the sentiments of various senators who have given their remarks on this statement, I rule that this statement should be handled by two committees. That is the Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing, and the Committee on Lands. Housing and lands, those are two different committees. Chair Arons, are you disputing my intellect? So, next order. Statement and standing order 56(1)B by 3 committee chairs. We start with the chairperson, Select Committee on County Public Accounts. Who is out of order? The chair or who is out of order? Chair, County Public Accounts. Do you have a statement from your committee? You know you must engage on one thing at a time. Yeah?
Is a problem.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I apologize. Senator Izena distracted me a bit. No, it only happens three days in a week. Mr. Speaker, I wish to give a statement relating to the activities of the Senate County Public Accounts Committee pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)B. Mr. Speaker, during the period under review, and that is commencing 25th October 2022 to 30th March 2023, the committee held a total of 30 meetings. The committee has interrogated and prepared 13 reports awaiting adoption by the committee before tabling in the Senate. The following are the county entities whose reports are awaiting adoption by the committee: Nyeri County, Nandi County, Bomet County, Tharaka Nithi, Vihiga, Homa Bay, Nyamira, Tana River, Kiambu, Kitui, Isiolo, West Pokot, and Narok County Assembly. Mr. Speaker, sir, out of the interrogations of the above county entities, a number of issues of concern arose. Most of the county entities had challenges with submission of documents to the auditors, as stipulated in the Public Audit Act of 2015. The committee noted that most county executives and assemblies did not avail relevant supporting documents to the Auditor General during the audit exercise. Mr. Speaker, sir, the reports also revealed that most of the county entities were not able to apply proper accounting practices, and their financial statements were characterized by lack of regular reconciliations. Subsequently, the lack of regular reconciliations resulted in variances between the IFMIS and financial statements. This resulted in inadequate reporting and presented an inaccurate position of the financial operations of the county assemblies. Mr. Speaker, sir, the reports further revealed that a number of counties had weaknesses in executing their budgets, and most of the county entities did not adhere to the approved budget ceiling set for programs, votes, and subvotes. Mr. Speaker, the audit reports also revealed that the entities made payments outside the integrated financial management system, contrary to the PFM Act. The practice of processing transactions outside IFMIS could be an avenue to bypass financial controls and may have led to misappropriation of funds. Mr. Speaker, the committee further noted that most counties had weak human resource management, where most counties recruited staff without following due recruitment procedures, in addition to absence of policy to determine optimal staffing levels. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee was also concerned about delays in exchequer releases to counties from the National Treasury, thereby hampering program implementation and budget execution. These also occasioned penalties levied on the counties from the Kenya Revenue Authority for non-remission of statutory deductions, putting a lot of strain on the county entities who found themselves in the circumstances out of their control. Mr. Speaker, the committee is in the process of adopting and tabling its report with recommendations of how to address the findings above from the audit report so far interrogated. And Mr. Speaker, because we had agreed, even at the liaison committee, that we present a very, very summarized version, Mr. Speaker, we will be happy to table a more detailed report of our activities, which will include, Mr. Speaker, the position of the committee on Article 2265 of the Constitution. Article 2265 says that if a holder of a public office causes loss of public funds, that holder must make good whether they are in office or not. And Mr. Speaker, my committee is considering inviting former governors where there have been cases where the Auditor General has pointed fingers at them for causing loss of public funds. The other concern that this House has registered is that we are still dealing with 2019-2020 financial year. Mr. Speaker, in our detailed report, we shall be recommending that we will be setting subcommittees to fast track and to ensure that we are up to date so that we can close 2019-2020 by 30th of June and to ensure that we are looking at the current financial year. And finally, Mr. Speaker, it is important that as a Senate, 10 years after the commencement of devolution, that we do a legislative impact assessment of the PFM Act, of the Public Audit Act, of the Procurement Act, and ask ourselves whether they are fit for purpose or whether this House needs to amend them to reflect the realities that county governments find themselves in. Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the Office of the Speaker, the Senate leadership, and the Office of the Clerk for the support that they have accorded this committee. Thank you.
Thank you for that brief statement. There is a, yes, Senator Medu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I have, since yesterday, after I came in, I have tried to be very respectful and obedient because you told us that once we press our intervention button, you shall allow us to speak. I was here until 6:30 in the evening yesterday, and you didn't allow me to speak. This morning, you, the Speaker. This morning, Mr. Speaker, I was in these chambers. I pressed the intervention button, and again, you didn't allow me to speak. But now that I'm not sure I have caught your eye, I have made you to catch my eye. This is the position that I wanted to mention, in specific of what I think is out of order, and I'm not disagreeing to the ruling that you made yesterday on that seat. because you referred to the Speaker's rules number 5, senators are required not to enter the chamber, lounge or dining room without being properly dressed. This means that a male senator shall be dressed in a coat, collar, tie, long trouser, socks and shoes, or service uniform, religious attire, or such other decent dressing as may be approved by the Speaker from time to time. An equivalent standard shall apply in respect of women senators who may also wear kitenge or such other attire. Mr. Speaker, when you ruled yesterday that I withdrew from the chamber, I was not allowed to mention this, and I think it is very important that you allow me to mention this. I came here yesterday donning a religious attire of the Hindu religion. And Mr. Speaker, it is perplexing that you on that chair wanted to roll it down on me, that I cannot put on a Hindu attire because I'm not a Hindu. Mr. Speaker, I would not want to agree with you to that extent, because if you do not have a Hindu in this house, you do not say that they are not represented in this house, Mr. Speaker. In this Speaker's rules, Mr. Speaker, it is allowed that we be coming here with or what Senator Redama Olekina, our minority whip, wears, is the traditional attire, Mr. Speaker. I would not want to agree that if we do not have a Hindu here, then we cannot have we cannot put on Hindu attires here, because it is then to mean that communities that are not represented in this Senate, their traditional attires will never find a place in this assembly, Mr. Speaker. So in that extent and in that regard, Mr. Speaker, I would want to implore on you to review that ruling that you made yesterday. And let us have respect for all religions, Mr. Speaker. Do not force us to subscribe to just one.
Senator Medu.
Yes, sir.
You know you are using the word you in a way that is confusing me. You referring
Mr. Speaker,
to
the
me
life of that seat is...
Because I understand the chair was here then, made a ruling on your addressing. So why are you using shortcuts again? Because it was not, definitely it was not me was here. It was another chair.
Mr.
So
Speaker,
why are you bringing this issue again?
No, Mr. Speaker, because I was not allowed to speak. I was told I have to go out and come back when I'm dressed in a tie.
Now you are smartly dressed.
But
Sit down and transacting business.
I'm agreeing with you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah,
it's not that I want to disagree with that ruling.
The Speaker dispensed of this matter yesterday.
But this particular issue that I'm speaking about was not dispensed. It was not dispensed, Mr. Speaker.
No, maybe I get to the answer.
Yeah, maybe you could look at the answer, but
okay,
the religious issue that I'm addressing to this afternoon was not addressed, Mr. Speaker.
At the answer on what the Speaker ruled yesterday.
That could be fine,
I think
Mr.
that's
Speaker.
better. You know, I told you again to refer to Standing Order 98. Because we have finished that matter, Senator Onyonka, we cannot go back to the issue. I've ruled that we must consult the answer, and that has been notified by the clerk. No, he is not on the floor. You cannot inform him. Because he is not on the floor now. You know, I have a lot of respect with you, Senator Sifuna. But it's Standing Order 98. That is what saved this house from a necessary point of orders. If you raised when the member was on the floor, that would be better. But now you see you are raising the issue when we are done with this matter about the dressing. What is it you are saying?
You know, Mr. Speaker, first let me say or confirm that I'm rising on Standing Order 122 E, which says that a senator shall be out of order if he deliberately gives false information to the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I know Senator Methu is a Christian. How can he come and deliberately give false information, in fact, using religion, that because he felt bad that he was kicked out for being improperly dressed, he wants to ascribe the manner of dress yesterday to a religion that he does not belong to, and is lying to us.
He's lying to us that he is now a Hindu because of wearing Hindu attire yesterday. Mr. Speaker, you know...
Senator Sifuna, how do you know that he did not change his religion last night?
I know him. Unless, Mr. Speaker, he changed his religion last night, I know for a fact that... No, he's heckling now. He's heckling. Mr. Speaker, you have the records of all of us here. Edwin Sifuna is a Catholic. He is a Christian. He's the one who spends all the time, all the weekend. I follow him very closely on social media. He's always at AIPCA church. In fact, even including this weekend, he was at an AIPCA church, Mr. Speaker, and he's laughing because he knows I'm telling the truth. According to this standing order, you cannot falsely mislead or give information that you know is false to the Senate. You should rule him out of order and let him go out of the house and resolve his religious crisis that he's going through.
Honorable Senators, in the public gallery, we have 87 students accompanied by 80 teachers from St. Paul's Kinangop Academy in Nyandarua County who are in the Senate on an academic tour. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them. And on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. Thank you. Senator Medu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to welcome my students that are from St. Paul Academy. Mr. Speaker, St. Paul Academy is my neighbor at home. We come from the same ward. It is a school that we all looked up to. I attended a public school. I really wanted and I hoped that I would ever get an opportunity to go to St. Paul, but I never got an opportunity to go to St. Paul. I went to a public school, but through God's grace, I'm now here. I want to welcome them to the Senate for this learning tour and encourage them as they go back to Nyandarua, as they go back to Kinangop. When they see me standing on the floor of the Senate, it's a major encouragement to them that they can go to any length, they can go to any house, they can get to any height, and they can achieve anything that I would want to achieve. Mr. Speaker, had you given me an opportunity when Senator Sifuna was on his feet, Mr. Speaker, I would have said that I never said that I'm a Hindu. I never said that I have changed religion. I only say that I came here in respect to all the religions. Mr. Speaker, I saw Senator Sifuna yesterday wearing a kanzu. And I know Senator Sifuna is not a Muslim. He did that because he respects that religion. And Mr. Speaker, again, finally, it is very unparliamentary for Senator Sifuna to say that I lied. Lying is very unparliamentary. He should have said that maybe I misled the House, but saying that I lied, and it is in the records of the House. The students from my county are here, and they know that their senators are out of the church. For them to hear that I lied in the floor of the House, I'm sure that it's not something that I would have wanted to take home. So I wish them well as they go back, and they have my best wishes always. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the next chairperson, Select Committee on County Public Investment and Special Funds.
He directed that the county governors and the top management to rationalize the staff establishment of water companies to a level that is lean and efficient in service delivery. The committee further directed that the company management to review the water tariffs to enable them to generate sufficient revenue to sustain their operation. The third issue, Mr. Speaker, which was cross-cutting, was the issue of non-revenue water. The committee noted that most of the companies had non-revenue waters levels exceeding 25%, which is allowable loss, as per the Water Services Regulatory Body regulations and also the international best practice. In all the counties we considered, the worst case, which had the highest level of non-revenue water, was Bomet Water Company. The committee, therefore, made instant recommendation and directives to the governor. And for Bomet County, Mr. Speaker, we noted that the water company had dilapidated the water infrastructure, and we therefore directed the EACC to immediately institute investigation with the objective of ensuring that those who will be found culpable are prosecuted, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I can see my member is excited about that. And Mr. Speaker, we have done the same for Kisii County. Issues directive to the EACC to investigate the operations of the Gusii Water and Sanitation Company. The fourth issue, which was cross-cutting, Mr. Speaker, was the transfer of assets. We noted that most water companies either maintained inaccurate asset registers that were not up to date or lacked the asset registers altogether. In other instances, the committee noted that the national regional water bodies that got into contracts with water companies in counties to develop water projects had transferred the associated liabilities to the said water companies, but retained the ownership of assets. For instance, and this my neighbor, good Senator Boni Khalwale, will take keen interest in this. For instance, Mr. Speaker, Kakamega County Water and Sanitation Company Limited owes Lake Victoria North Water Services Limited a whopping 4.2 billion shillings worth of loan, being money that went into the development of a water project in Kakamega County. The assets from the said project were still held by the Lake Victoria North Water Services Limited. In our recommendation, Mr. Speaker, we directed the county governor to put in place appropriate measures and ensure that all assets belonging to the water company are transferred to the water company. So Kakamega County Governor was requested to bring the matter of the 4.2 billion shillings to the attention of the Council of Governors and the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee. Mr. Speaker, we have also dealt with the matter of the regional block, which is ongoing, and we noted that regional blocks continue to receive money from county governments and from donors, which is not audited, because there is no legislation in place for the management of regional economic blocks. Some of these regional economic blocks have received billions of money, donor money, which it is very difficult to account because they are not audited by the Office of the Auditor General. Mr. Speaker, we are also dealing with the matter of unremitted pension staff pension, which has not been remitted to pension funds. This amount is estimated to be 52 billion shillings, which counties have not remitted to the various pension funds, and we will be making a report on that. The committee has also sent out invitations to a number of governors to appear before it to respond to audit issues raised by the Auditor General, and we have noted that the governors have been very cooperative in this matter. They have been appearing before us when required. The committee plans to conduct a fact-finding visit to a number of counties, priority to be given to those investments that are facing huge fiduciary risks across the country. The committee will be doing its first report writing retreat in mid-May, and thereafter table the first report on water companies in this chamber. Mr. Speaker, I ask senators to take seriously the matter of water companies in their respective counties, because we noted that most of these water companies are insolvent and are facing serious management and technical challenges, which, if not addressed, Mr. Speaker, we will not have water for our people. And Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my members that in our deliberations on the audit report, the committee has taken immediate steps. They have taken immediate steps, including making some orders, which our governors have gladly accepted, and some of them have made changes, which very soon, Mr. Speaker, we'll begin to see the fruits of our directives to the various counties. Mr. Speaker, having said that, just like my colleague from PAC, we have a lot of issues to say, but because of time, Mr. Speaker, I submit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Chair. I really encourage chairs to do a comprehensive report and table so that also we can benefit from the knowledge that you have, which counties, which water organ bodies. So prepare a comprehensive report and table so that all of us can be able to access it. So let's get the chair delegated. After this chair delegated, then we can take maybe 20 minutes for brief comments on the three statements.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is a statement relating to the activities of the Select Committee on delegated legislation for the period between 14th of October 2022 to 30th March 2023. Pursuant to Standing Order 195.1 of the Senate Standing Orders. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 195.1 of the Senate Standing Committee order to make a statement relating to the activities of the Select Committee on delegated legislation during the first part of the second session, that is 14th October to 30th March 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Senate Select Committee on Delegated Legislation is established under Standing Order 195.1 of the Senate Standing Orders and is mandated to scrutinize statutory instruments laid before the Senate. During the period under review, the committee held a total of 11 sittings, during which it considered one statement tabled and one report. Legislative proposals. Honorable Speaker, sir, during the period, the following legislative proposals are being considered by the committee for publication. 1. Statutory Instrument Bill, the County Statutory Instrument Bill, the Statutory Instrument Amendment Bill. Honorable Speaker, the bills. Honorable Speaker, during the period under review, the committee did not consider any bills. C. Honorable Speaker, sir, regarding the statement 1 was sought from the committee during the period under review, the issue raised in the statement touched on remuneration and benefits of the state officers by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, SRC. The statement was shot by Senator Mohamed Faki, MP, The committee stopped further deliberation of the matter as the committee awaits the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to be reconstituted. Petitions. Honorable Speaker, sir, during the period under review, the committee did not consider any petition. E. Committee induction and stakeholder engagements. Honorable Speaker, sir, the committee conducted its induction retreat from the 9th of January 2023 to 1st of February 2023. The members of the committee and the secretariat were taken through mandate of the committee and unpacking the statutory instruments Act 2013, the need for regulatory impact assessment, approval, annulment process of delegated legislation, and strengthening the parliamentary scrutiny of delegated legislation. 9, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee has also been able to meet with the National Transport and Safety Authority, transport network companies, company owners, drivers, and the passengers, Regulations 2022, LN number 120 of 2022. It was observed that the regulations were not in breach of the Statutory Instruments Act 2013. The committee resolved that the National Transport and the Safety Authority transport network companies, owners, drivers, and passengers, Regulation 2022, number 120 of 2022, be approved. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, I wish to thank your office and that of the Clerk of the Senate for the continuous support accorded to the committee in undertaking its work. Lastly, I also wish to thank the members of the committee for their commitment and diligence in and contribution during the committee activities. I thank you, sir. Honorable Speaker, I lay.
Honorable Senators, today we are blessed with many visitors, and in the public gallery we have 97 pupils accompanied by 6 teachers from Jack Range School in Kiambu County who are in the Senate on an education tour. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I thank you. Kiambu, for Kiambu is not around. Senator Chalage, you want to welcome the visitors?
That's a UDA stronghold. Mr. Speaker, sir,
but
on behalf
Senator
of...
Sifuna, next time if you want to do anything, just use the machines. Then you'll be assisted. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want, on my own behalf, on behalf of the great people of Nandi, and on behalf of the Senate, Mr. Speaker, so that the children understand the county I'm representing, on behalf of the Senate, on behalf of all of us, and on behalf of your Senator, our brother, Senator Karungo Wadhangwa, to extend, and also on behalf of the Speaker, to extend a warm welcome to the Senate Republic of Kenya. As you are aware, there are 47 elected senators, and out of 67, you minus 47,
Mr. Speaker, by Article 226. We are asking the chairman, Mr. Speaker, to be more proactive. We want to see people who have taken money and run away be made to pay back that money, whether they are in office or they have left that office. We want that committee to give us that report. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sifuna Edwin Watenya. What's your point of order, Majority Leader?
Apologies to Senator Sifuna. Speaker, I just wanted that you guide the House because you said you have 15 minutes. It might be proper for you to guide on perhaps what's the maximum time a member could take. If we follow the trend that has been set, the 15 minutes will be over maybe by 1 or 2 members only. Thank you.
Very well. I had proposed 15 minutes for the reason that we needed to resume the debate on what that was interrupted on the other bill. And we do a maximum of 3 minutes per member. So that from the queue, I have got 4 members. The time that I allocated will be sufficient if we stick to that timeline. Honorable Sifuna.
Chair, thank you. First, I've noticed that the Senator for Nandi has left the House. We in the Senate know that the person with the functions is the person with the resources. Once he takes up the responsibility of welcoming the children, he must be the one to take the queue to buy them lunch. Mr. Speaker, I am very proud as a member of the minority side of the 2 statements that have been made here by the chair of PAC and CPIC. First, as a member of PAC myself, I have seen the tedious work that the committee has put in the few months that I have been a member. It's unfortunate that there are discussions to, reconstitute our committees, and I might have to give way now that I was assigned a bigger responsibility in the coalition. But Mr. Speaker, there are things that I have learned, and I think that this House needs to take cue. First of all, it has been worrying to me, of course, the question of delay of exchequer remittances. Many counties are complaining about that. We noticed the worrying trend of KRA levying very serious penalties on delayed remittances of payee, and this is also as a result of the delayed exchequer. And we have made a proposal in this House that in fact KRA and the Treasury are 2 arms of or 2 sides of the same coin. There should be a discussion where if Treasury is the reason why counties are not able to remit their payee, then KRA should not levy those very punitive levies on them. Then, Mr. Speaker, there's also the worrying trend of stalled projects. We saw this especially with counties in Western Kenya, including Mutembei Stadium. We also have a problem with our own stadium here in Dandora, and we are hoping that counties will take the recommendations of the committee seriously so that they can be able to resolve it. Of course, Mr. Speaker, it will be remiss if I didn't mention the question of pending bills. As I have said, Nairobi is in a crisis, Mr. Speaker. We have pending bills of almost 100 billion shillings. There was a concept that was introduced in the budget policy statement, which I'm expecting that the central government will take up. This payment in lieu of rates, that the central government owes Nairobi a lot of money. It's actually the equivalent of that 100 billion shillings. If there can be an arrangement where they pay these bills off for us in lieu of the rates that they are supposed to pay to us, Mr. Speaker, it will help my county to move forward. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to give an experience. As a lawyer, you know there is something called practice directions. We would want that when these counties appear before committees, they are given practice directions on how to present documents, how to bundle them, how to number them, how to label them. In fact, Mr. Speaker, we have seen extremes. One of the best was Mutembei County, the worst was Murang'a County. And one of those governors is actually a lawyer. I will let you guess which one is a lawyer because you know him, he was a classmate. So it becomes very difficult for you to follow conversations as a committee where there are bulky documents, but then they are not properly labeled, they are not properly numbered, and it encumbers.
Thank you very much, Senator Sifuna. Senator Cheriot Aaron, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll begin by saying I'm proud of the work of all committees of the Senate, like my friend Sifuna, who has chosen to be proud of work of committees that are chaired by members of the minority side alone. It's good to belong to the majority side, but it's greater to belong to the Senate. That's my thinking, Mr. Speaker, and therefore, with that regard, I celebrate the work that has been done by the chairs of the PAC and the delegated legislation, Mr. Speaker. Very important points that are being raised by colleagues here on the floor. Number one, on the issue of standardization of reports by the various county governments when they appear before both our committees. I thought that's something worth considering either by committee by way of regulations. Either the committee could consider a standard letter where when an invitation to appear goes to the various county governments, then there is a standard way in which they respond to those issues. There are proposals to amend various statutes and laws that have been raised by Senator Kajwang, the chair of Public Accounts Committee, which is something, Mr. Speaker, that I think as a committee, given that the legislative power is within our hands as a house, we shouldn't spend a lot of time. This is one such incident where, as committee chairpersons, apart from issuing the statement and saying we find these laws are either in conflict or non-consonant with our practices as a house, this is our proposal. We should be seeing actually an amendment table before the House and saying, for this reason, this committee is proposing a change either to PFM or any of these other laws, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, we appreciate the work. I appreciate also the work of delegated legislation led by Senator Mofaya, Senator Gataya. Mr. Speaker, I know there are various regulations that are presently before them and presently before the National Assembly. This is one of the areas, Mr. Speaker, where we continue to have a big fight with our colleagues from the National Assembly, where unless we are vigilant as a House, I see regulations quickly approved by a delegated committee of the National Assembly, which one way or the other did not find their way to this House. One of the things I quickly do, Mr. Speaker, is pick up the call and ask Senator Gataya whether those regulations were actually brought to this House, because it is important, Mr. Speaker, that as a House we consider all regulations that which in one way or the other affect the operations of county governments. And you will struggle very much to find any regulation that doesn't consult the operation of county governments, Mr. Speaker. Lastly, it's just a question that I have tabled before this House before on the need for the House to think beyond the after-the-fact nature in which PIC and PAC continue to work. That as senators, presently today, if you ask any senator who's keen to the work and the going-ons in their county, Mr. Speaker, they will tell you that they have concerns. I know the county government intends to hire, yet I know for a fact that we have burst our ceiling on recurrent expenditure and that kind of things, which is the specific committee, Mr. Speaker, that either we can add responsibility to either PIC or PAC or think of an alternatively new committee, because on each and every day, Mr. Speaker, senators continue to use the floor of this House to send and sound warning to their county governments on various issues of governance malpractice that are practiced in our counties, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, the same have no place to be anchored on so that you can respond to it, Mr. Speaker. It's unfortunate that we have to wait for a report from the Auditor General to react to. You know, Mr. Speaker, the truth of the matter, it doesn't matter even if our Auditor Generals are properly trained and prepared. They cannot know a county government. They cannot know a specific county better than you as an individual senator, Mr. Speaker. And it's unfortunate that we have to rely on those particular. We used to see old tricks that continue to emerge, that you find an auditor who has gone to Vihiga County and they have found a road that has been named or done twice. In one of the documents is captured as a road from point A to point B, and in another bunch of document named as from point B to point A. Unless you are a resident of that county, you are not likely to pick it out, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we need to think about it critically. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Senator Oburu Odinga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to first of all commend all the chairs of these watchdog committees of public accounts, public investment, and delegated legislation. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say that these are the eyes of the people of Kenya. And these committees are making very good recommendations. They are working very hard. But Mr. Speaker, if there is no seriousness in taking further what the recommendations they make, if there is no seriousness in prosecuting those who steal public funds, those who dip themselves into public coffers. Mr. Speaker, the work of these committees will rot in the shelves, and they will not be useful to the members of the public. Mr. Speaker, somebody made a statement here that these governors, whether they are there or they are retired, they should be held accountable. And Mr. Speaker, in Nigeria, when devolution was introduced, more than half of the governors went to jail. Mr. Speaker, this is because, Honorable Nani, please, my leader, please, let me. Mr. Speaker, in Nigeria, when the governors, when they introduced into devolution, 50% of the governors went to jail because of dipping themselves, their hands into the coffers of the public. Mr. Speaker, in Kenya, we speak of people being investigated by ethics and anti-corruption, and the public investment, public accounts make recommendations. But I have never heard any governor who is jailed because he has dipped his hands, even though they do quite a lot. And Mr. Speaker, I also want to specifically speak about my friend, Honorable Sosi, when he mentioned something about Kakamega. Kakamega, the Lake Victoria North Water Services Board, and the Kakamega, I think, company, water company. Mr. Speaker, 45 billion? 4.2 billion shillings, which is owed to a state parastatals. Mr. Speaker, these are some of the things the government should just consider writing off if that money was properly used and it is to the benefit of the Kakamega people. Mr. Speaker, I also want to suggest that these regional authorities who don't have laws regulating them, we should make those laws here in the Senate, and I would have liked Mr. Honorable Sosi to propose a law which legalizes these regional authorities, makes them legal for them to receive money from donor organizations, and so that they can be audited, but the money should not be channeled all through the treasury. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. I can see that light is turning red.
Thank you, Senator Oburu. Lastly, Senator William Kipkemoi Kisang.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also rise to make comments on the three statements and thank the three chairs for good work they are doing. Actually, these three committees, Honorable Chair, are very busy and they do a lot of work. I want to thank the leadership of Senate for agreeing to split CPIC into two committees so that at least the water companies and other special funds, the counties are checked, and reports from the Auditor General report are discussed, Honorable Speaker, because from what the Chair said, from 2014 until this Parliament, the water companies and special funds were never audited by CPIC. So at least there is something that's going on, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the water pipelines across all the water companies in the country, most of them are very old and dilapidated, and it requires rehabilitation. And the county governments may not be able to to replace the pipelines. Maybe going forward, it might be prudent for the county governments to seek maybe funds from donors and also from national government so that they can be assisted to replace the old pipeline systems, because currently, from the reports that we've received, Honorable Speaker, they are losing close to 70% of the water into non-revenue water. There are many counties, and the acceptable standard percentage, Honorable Speaker, is about 25%, but most of them are above 40%. In fact, there is one particular county that they're losing 70%. If you lose 70% of what you get, basically it means you'll go into losses. That's why we are saying most of the water companies are insolvent technically. they can't run on their own. They get support from the county governments. Honorable Speaker, we have also been able to advise the governors to take charge. Some of the governors thought that the water companies are independent, and they didn't know that as the executive of the county, they are the ones who are responsible to ensure there is efficient management to run the water companies. We are happy that most of them who have come to the committee have already taken steps, and they've done restructuring to ensure that the water companies are run efficiently, so that at least they can make, even if they don't make a surplus, they're able to pay the day-to-day expenses of the companies. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on statutory deductions, most of the water companies have not remitted pay-as-you-earn, pension, NSSF, and NHIF. In fact, we were thinking widely as a committee that, it is not because of the water companies or the county governments. It is because Treasury has not dispersed the resources to the county. So we are saying maybe going forward, we might even think and see if it is possible that before resources are sent to the counties, then the pay-as-you-earn, NHIF, and SSF, and pension could be deducted at source, so that, we don't have unpaid statutory deductions. Honorable Speaker, I thank you very much and congratulate the members of these committees and the other committees also. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Kisang. Honorable members, standing order 56 grants us 20 minutes. We have since consumed that amount of time. I can see we still have got members in the queue, but for purposes of going on with the order paper for today, I will not allow any additional comments on these statements which have been issued by members. We will go to the next order paper.
Order number 8, the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 9 of 2023, second reading, division.
I direct that the clerk now may ring the division bell for 5 minutes. you please still do another 5 minutes division bell?